What is up, everyone? It's Daniel back here with another video. It's 11:30 right now, and I decided to make another face video. Why? Because the last video I did pretty decent. So far I got like 84 views, and as a new creator I think that was pretty good. So I decided to make one of these other like night talks, kind of give you guys more thoughts that I have regarding everything, and just have a little bit of a yap session. So in today's video, I want to discuss primarily about why many people never achieve their big goals in life, okay? So, who am I, first of all? So my name is Daniel. I have scaled my software/agency to $14,000 a month. I'm 20 years old, and I study computer science and economics at the University of Toronto. That's my background. Which I'm actually about to graduate, because in a few days I have my final exams, and I should be studying for them, but I'm not, because I'm really tired. I already spent all day studying. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to discuss why most people don't make it, like, in life. They have big goals, why they don't make it. And I want to give you guys some of the observations I've been having with me, with the people I've been hanging around with the successful people I've been seeing. And by no means am I, like, successful at all, to be honest. Like, sure, I've made some money, but like, it's not, I can't buy a Lambo or anything, or like a super nice car. So to begin, I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself and my background. And I'm going to be a little vulnerable here. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the truth, because the truth is I wasn't always this like motivated to do my business stuff. When I was 17, I was very businessy. In fact, that dated back to when I was 15, when I used to trade stocks and invest. And I made a bunch of money, and I lost a bunch of money. That's for another video, though. And when I was 17, I would go to a lot of conferences, a lot of like just events, and a lot of just startup things that were happening. And I was a very motivated individual. I did a lot of things. I met a lot of people. I went to every single event in Toronto regarding startups, and I studied people, and I did the whole shebang, which is basically just going to a bunch of events, trying to network as much as I can, trying to see what projects people are doing, trying to study them. Like, for example, sometimes I would go to events and I would basically, like, for example, if there would be a big conference, I would go in, take a bunch of pictures of all the startups, come home, and I would study them. I would sit, I would Google the companies, I would study. And I don't know if this was university or just life in general, but I found that by my second year of university, and right now I'm in my third and like finalizing year. Technically I'm in my fourth with the amount of credits I have, but I finished university early in 3 years, not dropped out, but literally just finished everything. And in my second year, I noticed that I stopped going to a lot of these events. I kind of like just gave up on it. And I found myself floating for a bit. Basically, all I did was go to school, study, and come home. That's it. I wasn't working on any major projects or anything like that. And life was very boring. Life was very mundane. And at that moment, I actually nearly quit all of the startup stuff I had done before. All the things I learned. And what I mean by that is just simply not do a company. What I ended up wanting to do was potentially just go and get a job. More specifically, because I have a background in computer science and economics as like my degree, I wanted to go and like just work at an investment bank or like some bank, you know? But I felt very unfulfilled in that time of life. And thankfully, I got myself out of it by starting to just get back into startups, starting to create new companies, starting to do new things, starting to try and meet more people, starting to do client acquisition. I just kept trying to do new stuff. And that's how I found out my life. Like, I basically found myself again by just not giving up, seeing, oh crap, I'm in this not really good position. Okay, what do I do? Okay, so I have nothing going for me. I'm just studying, going to campus. Okay, let me try and start this company. Let me try and start that company. I just started trying to do things. And by doing those things, I'd say I kind of got myself out of this like brain dead rot. And that's where I'm kind of growing now. I'm like continuing my company, I'm starting new projects, I'm doing more things, I'm making more money, I am just growing. And if it wasn't because I'd say of my like self-determination towards fixing my situation, I think I would have been really screwed. And I think I would have been lost beyond repair. Now, what do I mean by that? I probably would have just simply not continued on with my companies, and I would have probably just gone on to work at some investment bank. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this story is because I found myself to almost, very close, screwing everything up for myself and being a lost cause. But I didn't. And one thing I see a lot of people who are very ambitious, they go through ruts sometimes. And I see this a lot with my friends. So my friends, God bless them, I love them to death. They're extremely smart, extremely hardworking. A lot of them, in fact, actually most of them, I'd say, are very entrepreneurial too. They want to start their own companies. They want to start their own businesses. But the one weird thing I've noticed is they seem a little bit lost. And what I mean by that is, in my mind, if I want to be a business person or if I want to create a company, I want to go and do that thing. But a lot of people I've noticed, not just my friends, but like just in general I see, is whenever they want to start doing something, they try and go like some alternative route to get to that thing. And in that alternative route, they lose sight of the goal. That's why they never achieve their goals, as per the title of this video. For example, one thing I notice when it comes to a lot of companies and startups and people who want to build their own startups is like what they'll end up, like what people I know will end up doing is, let's say they tell me, I want to create a company. I'm like, okay, cool. And then what they proceed to do, they're on this trajectory, right? Create company. To normally create a company, you gotta have a product, you gotta have distribution, all of that, and that will let you create a company and like make you money, right? But what I see people do is take very interesting paths. For example, I know people who want to create a company, right, this one straight path, but then they start doing things like, for example, they tell me things like, I want to go and I want to like study how people make companies. I'm like, okay. But then they go and they like work for other companies, and then that like deviates them off this path, right? So you want to start a company, you're supposed to do this, build a product, but then, oh no, I want to go and I don't know what I actually want to build my product about. I'm just going to go and I'm going to go work at this company and do this thing, and maybe one day I'll create this like new product. You see how I'm like, it's deviating away from the goal, right? And not that it's not like they're ruining their life here. At the end of the day, still working at other companies is great. You could like have so many good opportunities off of it. But when you deviate away from your goal, like you don't get to the goal, you do something else. And when you do that other thing, it can get very comfortable. So for example, I know people who love banking, right? Love the finance industry. They want to be their own hedge fund manager one day. And what they do is they'll go, and I've seen this happen, is they'll go, they want to be hedge fund. They'll start working, they'll go work at a bank, bank. And I understand for a hedge fund, sure, like you would need some sort of insider knowledge, okay. But then they just deviate away and they go poof. They've completely lost trajectory. They get a nice paying job. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of the day, which is really good, and they're gone. They don't want to take that risk anymore. And I see this happen so much. People just like deviate and do like random stuff that's not related to what their purpose or their original goal was. And this happens a lot with startups too. I'll talk to friends and they want to start a company, and then they just start like studying a lot. And again, working at different companies and like reading a bunch of books and like just like listening to motivation and just doing everything except starting the damn company. And honestly, I am no perfect man. I've done the same things too. Like, believe me, I've listened to 2 a.m. motivations tons and tons of times, probably more than most people. But that's like where my edge is I know I've wasted way too much time doing that. And that now I should just focus on building a company, focus on building a product, having good distribution, actually making money. That's most important. Instead of going out and like studying, like I know, for example, people, and again, this is not a bad thing. I think this is great. At the end of the day, doing something is better than doing absolutely nothing. But they'll want to start a company. They want like knowledge regarding this industry, and they'll spend years and years and years and years studying, feeling like don't have enough knowledge on this industry to start a company, when they should just go and start it and figure things out like along the way. A more simple analogy, I would say, is like going to the gym, right? If I go to the gym and I want to increase my bench press, right? I could do a bunch of different exercises and I could study everything. I could study every single textbook there is in existence regarding improving bench press and watch all the videos and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if I don't go and just do the bench press, I'm not going to improve in the bench press. And the same thing appears in business and any goals in your life. The point that I'm trying to make here is, if you want something, if you really want something, like making $1 million, your goal should be just focusing on, how do I get that as fast and as soon as possible, all right? You shouldn't try and find another way or spend decades studying, or maybe one day I'm gonna like, unless you don't want it. Like, that's also another thing I've noticed is a lot of people who say they want to start companies and say who want to make like $1 million or $1 billion, they just don't do that because I think they don't want to do that at the end of the day. I truly think that's not their desire. And that's fine at the end of the day. But like, I'm just saying, if you have a goal, if you really want something, instead of trying to go and study your way through things and spend a year backpacking in Europe to like gain inspiration regarding a company or whatever, go and actually do that thing that you really want, all right? And don't waste time doing anything else, all right? So yeah, thank you guys for listening to my yap sesh. It's already almost 12 o'clock. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.